Hey guys, it's Hamza, and in this video I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the EIDL program and answering some of the questions that you guys have and that I have received based on my previous video. Some of the basic questions that I will be answering is who can apply, what happens if you've already applied and been denied, what happens if you've already applied and gotten the grant but not the loan, and what's gonna happen if you've been denied based on your credit. With that being said, let's get started. Now, one thing to take into consideration here is that we do not have all the information at this point. Although the lawmakers did pass the stimulus bill a couple of days ago, this program is actually handled by the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration. And they have up to 15 days to come up with guidelines or post something that gives us more direction as to how this program is going to be structured. Based on that, in my previous video, I told you guys to make a note of Jan 12th. Because January 12th will be the official 15th day after the stimulus bill was passed. So the SBA will most probably push those guidelines and give us more information by that date. I just want to recap that really quickly. Although lawmakers were in charge of passing the stimulus bill, the EIDL program is implemented by the SBA. And the SBA will have its own guidelines, its own terms and conditions on how they are going to pass down this money to small businesses. Once the SBA does pass their guidelines, we will have better information on what happens if you guys have already applied prior to the SBA making their guidelines available. We will also find out what happens if you've applied in the past, got approved for the grant, got denied for the loan, or gotten denied for the loan altogether based on your credit. This is all information that we do not have at this point but are anticipating to get early next year. With that being said, there are a few things that we know as of today. And I anticipate a few more things to be implemented by the SBA, and that is what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's jump back in time and talk about the CARES Act for a moment, because there are going to be parts of this program that are going to be identical to the CARES Act. So what we know today is that the EIDL program that was part of the CARES Act and that was launched earlier last year changed over time. So as time went on and that program actually got implemented, they did change a couple of things to where we kind of had more information as more and more time progressed. When the first round of EIDL funding launched last year, it was still unclear as to what exactly we were getting. The SBA did then change the way they dispersed the grant versus the loan. When the program first launched earlier last year, the SBA fronted $10,000 as part of a loan. That $10,000 was considered a grant. Because the documentation at that point was minimal, we had a huge influx of businesses applying for this EIDL program. The SBA did then go ahead and change the way they were delivering even the $10,000. They changed it to where it was $1,000 for every employee in the business. And at that point, what ended up happening is a lot of people got funded the $1,000 to $10,000, but then got denied for the SBA loan, the EIDL loan to be specific. So there were a lot of people who got the cash upfront, but then were denied for the loan based on their credit or other criteria. Now, there were many reasons that people were denied for their loan. Credit was a part of it. Proper documentation on who owns the company was also a part of it. Some people actually even had discrepancies as far as operating bank accounts. So if you couldn't show that the money was going into your business bank account, there may be a chance that you got denied for your SBA EIDL loan. Now this time around, the SBA has already announced that it will take them up to 21 days to process your request, which means once you guys apply, you have to wait for 21 business days in order to find out whether you got approved or your application has gotten rejected for any reason. Now, before I start answering the frequently asked questions that you guys sent me, I just want you to know that this program is not a guaranteed program. With the CARES Act, it was kind of sort of implied that everybody who applies is going to get approved, which is why we had this huge influx of people applying, even when some of the people knew that they weren't going to get approved for this loan. In fact, some of you who probably shouldn't have gotten approved for this loan received EIDL grant money and loan money. And that's just because there were so many applications and the SBA was very optimistic on how quickly they wanted to fund these small businesses. So this time around, they are being more cautious and nothing is guaranteed. In fact, most probably the $10,000 EIDL grant money is going to be attached to an approval for your loan this time around. Now, one thing I found ironic about the EIDL program as a whole is that you could get denied based on your credit. This, I feel like, defeats the purpose of the loan if you could prove the other things that could get you approved, such as 30% decline in revenue, business operating as of Jan 31st. You are an operating partner in the business that you claim to be collecting this money for. If you can prove all those other things, I don't know why credit is relevant here for a government subsidized loan that should help you get through this emergency. The IRS has specifically mentioned in this bill that they will be denying EIDL funding because of low credit, whether that was the grant or the loan that was attached to the grant. I did receive this one question from a lot of you guys, so I thought it was important to talk about it first in this video. If you got denied for the EIDL loan the first time around, which was summer of last year because of your credit, should you be reapplying for this EIDL grant and loan? And at this point, the answer is really unclear. Because we don't have guidelines from the SBA at this point, what I would suggest you do is, if your credit has improved and you think you have a better chance of applying for the EIDL loan and getting approved, go ahead and apply for the grant and the loan. In fact, if you still have the same credit that you did from last year, I would still say to go ahead and apply for the loan. And the reason I say that is because we don't have clear guidelines as of yet on what the approval process is going to be this time around. There may be other factors that come into consideration that weigh heavier than your bad credit. I mean, the point of the loan is actually to help small businesses survive. Another question I got asked was, if I applied and got rejected in the past, what do I need to do? Do I need to take any action? And once again, the answer is going to be a little vague, but this is the information that we have right now. If you have already applied and gotten denied, these are the two things that you may have to do. In their guidelines, which are going to be released in a few days, the SBA will clarify whether you guys need to sign an amendment to your original application and that be considered as your reapplication, or you guys may need to file an entirely new application altogether. At this point, these are the two ways that I see this going for people who have already applied. Another question I got asked is, do I qualify for the EIDL program? And I have good news for you over here. The EIDL program is extremely broad, so whether you're a gig worker, a one-person company, or a large corporation, chances are, most probably, all of you guys will qualify. So whether you're driving for Uber, building websites, you're a one-person marketing company, or you are a company that actually has employees, chances are that all of you are going to qualify. And this answer is based on the previous EIDL package. So chances are this will get improved and people who did not qualify last time around will also qualify. But that's something that we're going to have to wait on until we get guidance from the SBA. Another question that I get asked a lot was, I received the EIDL grant or the cash advance the first time. Do I need to reapply to receive a second cash advance or grant? And the answer to this is going to be, once again, a little vague. However, I do have some news from the stimulus bill itself. The lawmakers did say that people who receive this EIDL grant or cash advance the first time around will qualify for the second time as well. Now, there was some language in the bill which stated that the criteria will be a little different this time around. So you guys will have to wait for the SBA's guidelines to come out, hopefully before January 12th, so that you can make sure that you qualify for this EIDL cash advance or grant. And like I said earlier, the SBA is already saying that they are going to take up to 21 days to approve or deny your application. And chances are that if you get denied for the loan, you will not be receiving the grant this time around, even if you received it the first time. And technically, this is a new and different stimulus bill, different from the CARES Act, meaning there's going to be different provisions and there's probably going to be different ways you qualify to receive your EIDL money. I also think that because the stimulus bill is only $900 billion, I know I feel funny saying only $900 billion, but in the grand scheme of things, $900 billion to stimulate an entire economy, I don't think is enough. Which means I think a lot of people are not going to be receiving their entire $10,000 even if you qualify. The SBA is taking their time processing these applications, and I think they're going to be a little more careful on how they distribute this money because they just don't have enough of it. So my advice to you guys would be vigilant, make sure you have all your documents lined up even before the SBA releases their guidelines. And this way, once the SBA releases their new and improved guidelines on January 12th, you guys should be in a good position because you guys will already have prepared and have probably 95% of the documents that you need to apply. I hope I was able to answer a lot of your questions, and I'm going to keep you guys updated as I receive more information on this EIDL funding program. I'm going to continue to talk about the cash advance, grant, and loan, and what you guys need in order to qualify and get that money first. Once again, my name is Hamza, and I'll see you guys next video.